Thank you, Lisa. Good morning. How is everyone doing this morning? Wonderful. What a wonderful day to be together. We just had a wonderful VBS week, and I thank everyone who was involved in helping and praying and everything that you did. It was a great week. We had a special guest the last couple days, which was exciting and tiring for me. I see a Messi jersey, so I know we have at least 2 Argentina fans today for the World Cup finale. And I know that we have about 60 people that don't really care. I will say, in the opening, I'm sure everyone joined me last night in watching Saturday night's main event, right? Well, there was an exciting return at the end. I promise this is going to matter to you. They brought out Jalen Brunson from the Knicks, along with Roman Reigns, who's a wrestler who you don't care about. And they were just giving him a belt, and music hit. And Tyrese Halliburton came out, who's a Pacer player. Okay, this didn't work as well as I thought. That's fine.
Some of us are excited about it.
That's good. Good. I will say this. As a kid, I was scared of E.T. Do you guys know who E.T. is? And I was scared because the grain on our closet door, which they always kept blocked, was shaped exactly like him. And I found out just recently, do you know what E.T. is short for? Oh, no, because he has little legs. So, yes, thank you. Let's stand.
wake up. It's nighttime. Everybody wake up. It's nighttime. Everybody wake up. It's nighttime. Everybody wake up. Everybody wake up. Everybody wake up. It's nighttime. Open up the doors. Let everybody in. Ready for an adventure. It's about to begin. We're going somewhere that we've never been before. I can't wait to see what God has in store. So put your cell phones down. Ain't swipe time. This is all about Jesus Christ time. 'Cause he's the way and the truth and the lifeline. Hands in the air, nighttime, high time. I got armor, yes I do. I got armor, how about you?
I got armor, yes I do. I got armor, how about you?
I got armor, yes I do. I got armor, how about you?
I got armor, yes I do. I got armor, how about you?
We got armor, yes we do. We got armor, how about you?
We do, yeah, we do,
I see that we got armor, yes we do. We got armor, how about you?
we do, yeah, we do.
Nighttime, nighttime, now's the right time. Nighttime, nighttime, let's get hype time. Nighttime, nighttime, now's the right time. Hands in the air, it's nighttime, hype time. Nighttime, nighttime, now's the right time. Nighttime, nighttime, let's get hype time. Nighttime, nighttime, now's the right time. Hands in the air, it's nighttime, hype time. We are the Knights of North Castle. We are the Knights of North Castle. We are the Knights of North Castle. We are We are the Knights of North Castle. We are the Knights of North Castle. We are the Knights of North Castle. We are Knights of North Castle.
I'm going to put this Jesus orange into this water, and I want you to tell me, is it going to float like Jesus walking on water, or is it going to sink? What do you think? Sink. How many say sink? How many say float? Oh my. Well, let's find out. Yeah. Now here's just like Jesus, it floats because Jesus had. Can you read that word? Faith. That's exactly right. Jesus has faith. Now, if we take the faith off, what's going to happen to our orange? If we take the faith off, like I did here, this orange doesn't have any faith anymore. What's going to happen to the orange? Let's see if you're right. Jesus was able to walk on water because he had faith. Now, that's kind of true for us too. If we follow what Jesus is saying, we have faith, we can do amazing things too. Now, we may not be able to walk on water, but we can do some amazing things. My golly, it almost floated. You rascal. Get out of there. All right. So, that's your lesson. You're going to talk more about that when you get into your lesson tonight.
Be strong in the Lord, in the strength of his power. Be strong in the Lord and in his mighty power. When it feels like hope is gone, be strong, be strong. I will keep on keeping on and be strong in the Lord. Be strong in the Lord, in the strength of his power. Be
Bible School Week, this is also Food Ministry Week. And yesterday proves that neither rain, nor snow, nor sleet, nor hail, nor 100-degree temperatures will stop our food ministry. Even though our numbers were down a little bit, both on the distribution and the receiving side, everything went off without a hitch. And I want to thank everybody that was involved with the food ministry all week long, whether it was delivery, loading, unloading, serving, packing, whatever. I want to thank everybody for that. And also, obviously, continued thanks to everyone who is supporting our food ministry with their prayers and their financial gifts. I think we served about 65 families yesterday, and there's plenty of bread left down there. There's about half a gallons of milk. There's some pineapples, and anyway, it's on the table. Eggs, couple dozen eggs, so help yourself. Thanks.
I think you guys kind of initiated it yourself, but let's just give one more round of applause for all of those kids that came, all the adults that came and prepared all of the wonderful lessons, and all the crafts and all the music and things that happened during last week's marvelous 50-degree temperatures. So let's give them a hand. Thank you. Yeah, I was so glad that I had rehearsals all week and will continue the next 2 weeks I announced this last week, but this is my show that's coming up July 30 and 31st. It's called Side by Side by Sondheim. And Mr. Sondheim was the one that wrote Into the Woods, was part of West Side Story. So he's got a lot in his suitcase, and we're going to unpack that during that show. So there's just 2 musicians, so myself and another lady playing the piano, and 5 actual singers. So it's a pretty small and tight group, but they make a lot of sound. So I hope you can come, and thank you so much if you do. The other announcement I have is obviously Vacation Bible School, the adults and the children, they learned a lot. And mostly, I think, like Kevin demonstrated, he was teaching the youth, right? So next week, Jeff is starting a new series called Childish. And when we were thinking about doing it, I was thinking, we would be talking about children, and let's just say Lisa was not correct about that, but he'll explain it later. So that being said, I had planned an activity where I'd like the youth of the church here to come in this section where Jeff is back here after service, if they were willing. And we're going to learn something that we can teach all of the adults in the church next week. It's short, so I won't keep you long, but if you can join me, I'd appreciate it. And thank you very much.
I have just a couple of brief ones, but as she said, we are starting a new series next week, Childish. When you walk in the door, our wonderful ushers will hand you what is considered a raffle ticket. It's not for a raffle, we're not gambling, don't worry. But I am giving away something each week that will go along with the series. And I'm very excited about it. It's going to be a great 3-week series, and it is about how Jesus told us to be more like the children. And we're going to talk about what that means. Also, next week, it coincides with Scramble. And so I mentioned Scramble last week. It is our event with the 2 churches and VBS families. And we're going to have Lego racing. We're going to grill hamburgers and hot dogs, is my decision. And so, because we had a lot left from the VBS kickoff party, and I was like, why would I buy more food? So it'll be a lot of fun. I really hope everybody can come. It's from 5 to 6:30 next Sunday. 5 to 6:30. Invite everybody, especially teens, kids, adults, which I guess covers everyone. And so It's going to be a lot of fun. And then also tonight, this is the last announcement, is youth. And so that'll be at Richmond First at 5 o'clock. And so I believe that is it. So we'll go into our time of prayer. And we, of course, have several prayer requests, which we show each week. We want to remember Sam. We love seeing Karen here. And I was given, as I walked in from Bob, a prayer request, and she's listed up there, but I'm going to just specifically speak about Becky Porter, who had some severe medical issues this weekend, and I believe stopped breathing, and is in Reed right now with things that they're doing, is how I will go about it. And it's fairly serious. And so we want to pray for her. We want to pray for Bob and Margaret. As you all know, when something happens to your child, it happens to the parents. And so as we go to our time of prayer, remember all of our requests. Remember everyone, unknown and known. But let us focus, especially today, on Becky. Please join me in prayer. Dear Lord, I thank you so much for bringing us together here today and giving us this chance to call out your name in prayer, to just share our prayers with each other, share our time with each other, share our hearts with each other, Lord. And I ask that you be with each prayer that is being lifted up even now. Help each person to know that you hear them all and you hear everything we ever think, everything that ever goes through our mind, because you love us so much that you are so attuned to what we need, what is going on, what will help us. Lord, I ask that you be with each of the requests that we have on our list, each request that we know about, each request that we're aware of. Help those people to know that you are also aware, that you are working with them, that you are helping, that you are healing, that you are growing them in everything that they go through. And Lord, be with those unspoken, those that go unknown, those that go unmentioned. Help those people to know that they don't go unknown to you, that you are aware, that you are love, that you are mercy, that you are healing, that you are the answer, Lord. And help anyone who is struggling with anything, Lord, to know that to look to you is how we move forward. I ask that you be with Becky today, Lord, and throughout this week. I ask that you be with the doctors that are working with her, that are preparing to operate, to do all of the different medical procedures that they need to do. Help them to have the skill, the knowledge, the care as they go about that. Help her to just continue to grow stronger, to heal, to feel your healing power, to feel your peace, to feel your comfort. And I ask you to be with her parents, Lord, Bob and Margaret. Help them to know that you are with them as well, that you care for every need that we have, for every desire that we have, for every problem that we have, that you always care. Help us, Lord, as a church to continue to be examples of you in this world, to continue to be answers of prayer to you, to others, and to just do what we can to be like you. Help us to be like your disciples, to pray the prayer you taught them. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, and the power, and the glory forever. Amen.
This next song is called Close to Thee. It's in our blue hymnal, if you'd like to pull it up, page 407. But for those of you that are going to be looking at the screen, it's our extra song today, and we haven't done this much, so I'm going to play it through once. You can remain seated, and then we'll try it all together.
Our reading today is from Daniel chapter 6, verses 1 through 5 say, Darius and Mede decided to divide the kingdom into 120 provinces, and he appointed a high officer to rule over each province. The king also chose Daniel and 2 others as administrators to supervise the high officers and protect the king's interests. Daniel soon proved himself more capable than all the other administrators and high officers. Because of Daniel's great ability, the king made plans to place him over the entire empire. Then the other administrators and high officers began searching for some fault in the way Daniel was handling government affairs, but they couldn't find anything to criticize or condemn. He was faithful, always responsible, and completely trustworthy. So they concluded, our only chance of finding grounds for accusing Daniel will be in connection with the rules of his religion. Verses 10 through 13. But when Daniel learned that the law had been signed, he went home and knelt down as usual in his upstairs room, with his windows open toward Jerusalem. He prayed 3 times a day, just as he had always done, giving thanks to God. Then the officials went together to Daniel's house and found him praying and asking for God's help. So they went straight to the king and reminded him about his law. Did you not sign a law for the next 30 days? Any person who prays to anyone, divine or human, except to you, your majesty, will be thrown into the den of lions? Yes, the king replied, that decision stands. It is an official law of the Medes and Persians that cannot be revoked. Then they told the king that Daniel, one of the captives from Judah, is ignoring you and your law. He still prays to his God 3 times a day. Verses 17 through 24. A stone was brought and placed over the mouth of the den. The king sealed the stone with his own royal seal and the seals of his nobles, so that no one could rescue Daniel. Then the king returned to his palace and spent the night fasting. He refused his usual entertainment and couldn't sleep at all that night. Very early the next morning, the king got up and hurried out to the lion's den. When he got there, he called out in anguish, Daniel, servant of the living God, was your God, whom you serve so faithfully, able to rescue you from the lions? Daniel answered, Long live the king. My God sent his angel to shut the lions' mouths so that they would not hurt me. For I have been found innocent in his sight, and I have not wronged you, your majesty. The king was overjoyed and ordered that Daniel be lifted from the den. Not a scratch was found on him, for he had trusted in his God. Then the king gave orders to arrest the men who had maliciously accused Daniel. He had them thrown into the lion's den along with their wives and children. The lions leaped on them and tore them apart before they even hit the floor of the den. This is the word of the Lord.
Good morning. How are you doing? Good. We are wrapping up our series called Prophetable this week, in which we have talked about different prophets, different examples from the Old Testament that the disciples, as they were starting the church, would have looked to, would have thought about, would have compared themselves to in different ways. And today we are talking about probably the most famous, the most well-known, one of the most well-known Bible stories, which is Daniel in the lion's den. And I'm sure everyone here at some point has either taught or learned Daniel in the lion's den in some way. And the reason we share it, the reason we know it, is because it's such a powerful example of faith and also of God's miraculous power. And it's just such a great story. And so as we look at it, we are going to talk about Darius, who was the ruler of Babylon at the time. And this is around 538 BC or so, which is during the exile. And each of these we've been talking about is during the exile. And it involves Daniel. Now, I know when I was growing up and I would hear this story, I would picture Daniel around my age, maybe a little older. Daniel was 80 when this happened. And so, yeah, that was a surprise. Daniel was 80. So if you are near that age, and I don't think anybody here, you're probably 20 years or so away from being 80. And if you can picture that, it was an 80-year-old man who went through this, who lived this life of faith, who was thrown into the lions. And he had established over the course of his life this faithfulness, this desire to just serve God. And he was such a strong man of faith, such a strong prayer, such a strong example. And as an exile, as a Jewish person, as a non-Babylonian, he was one of 3 people who Darius had made a leader. And if you're like, that sounds a little bit familiar, that's because Joseph, back at the beginning of the year, was also a man out of his own home, out of his own country, who was completely different from the Pharaoh, but his constant example of faithfulness, of character, made Pharaoh say, yeah, this guy, he's got it. And Daniel in the same way. Darius sees him and knows the differences, but he doesn't care because Daniel shone for God. He showed who God was. He was constantly doing his best to be God-centric, and he was so much a man of God that his enemies who hated him because he was doing a good job, because he had the power they wanted, because he was everything they wanted to be, they couldn't find any fault with him. And I want you to think about this. If the people that dislike you, the people that talk bad about you, the people in your life that have ever bullied you, if all they have to say about you is, man, Karen, she's just too faithful. It's ridiculous. John, he's so trustworthy. Jonathan, he's too responsible. And that's what they're saying. I don't know why the parents laughed at that. That's okay. That's what they're saying about Daniel. They're so mad that they're like, oh, he's such a good person. I can't believe that he never hurts people and he never lies and he does what's right. And so they decide we can't do anything with what he's given us. They go to the king and they rig the game. They are like NBA referees when the Lakers are playing. They go and they rig the game. They go to the king and they do the one thing that all great leaders, most great leaders, that all kings and many politicians and many people with power are susceptible to, and they appeal to his pride. And they start out by saying, oh man, you are just the best. I cannot believe that not everybody understands how amazing you are. If anybody ever comes to you and before they ask something, they start to pump you up and like, oh, you're so awesome, they're going to ask for something big. I know because Beatrice does this to me. And so they go to him and they start with, man, it's just everybody needs to recognize you. Everybody needs to acknowledge your greatness. Wouldn't it be amazing if we had just this month where everybody prays to a statue of you, where everybody talks to you? And the king, he's like, oh yeah, that is cool. Yeah, everybody should talk about how great I am. Everybody should recognize. And so they're like, and it should be an unchangeable law, which is honestly pretty clever by them. Because they know that he likes Daniel. They know that he respects Daniel. They know that Daniel matters to him. And so they say, it should be unchangeable. This has to be important. He's like, yeah, you know what? You're right. And so he makes this law, foolishly, but he makes this law. And we look at this, and we look at his pride, we look at Daniel's faith, and we may start to wonder, but Daniel, he's 80 years old, and he's living this life of faith. He had set an example. Why is this happening to him? Well, part of it is when you do good, when you truly are living in the way that Jesus has called us to live, when you're truly an example of what it means to be a man of God, a woman of God, to be a Christian, that shines a spotlight not on you, but on everybody else. On the people who say that they are Christian, but they really don't want to do the work involved. And they're like, this person's making me look bad. On the people who aren't Christians, who don't care at all. And they're like, they think they're better than me. And that spotlight can get very bright on some people. And so these men who were after Daniel, they had this spotlight constantly. And they could have been, man, we should work as hard as Daniel. But instead they're like, let's make Daniel stop working. Because that's the easiest way for us to respond. It's hard to reach the mark. It's very easy to lower that for other people, to try to lower that for other people. And for Daniel, living for God for 80 years and also being loyal and respectful to the king, he's doing everything that he's called to, everything that is an example, everything that would be considered good. So why would this happen to him? And so we go to our first quote from C.S. Lewis. Life with God is not immunity from difficulties, but peace within difficulties. You see, sometimes we live as if the more faithful we are, the more good we do, the more like Jesus we are, that we should be exempt from some of the pain and suffering and struggles and taxes that the world pays. We think, I'm such a good example. Why would that person hit my car? I have lived for Christ my whole life. Why would this police officer give me a ticket? I'm not at all thinking of personal things. I've done everything that I can to be an example. Why am I suffering in this way? Why am I struggling in this way? And that's rational and human to think. But there was never, and I often will tell you, look through the Bible. There has never been any time where God promised, hey, if you follow me, you're never going to have a problem again. No, he said, if you follow me, I will help you with your problems. If you follow me, I will give you peace in your difficulties. There is a promise that you will have peace if you seek him. And Daniel was a prophet, a leader. And when he's faced with anything, he just keeps going. He just keeps living for God. He just keeps doing what he does. He just keeps trying to be what he's called to be. What an example for us. What an example for the disciples. I would imagine when Paul or Peter or any of them would be in prison, they would be thinking, man, Daniel, he went through stuff like this. And God helped him. And they would be like, I want to be an example one day for people. And so we go back to the scripture. And as the law became public knowledge, Daniel, who was a smart man, knew that it was directed at him. And so he had lots of options open to him, lots of things that he could have done. He could have gone to the king and thrown his authority around and pleaded and said, these guys are out to get me. You have to understand that these guys are out to get me. I'm loyal to you. Why would you do this? And he could have pleaded. He could have gone and done the same thing they did and been like, King, you're the best. I mean, you are the greatest at everything you do. You just won the Olympics and they don't even exist yet. He could have done anything to try to pump him up. He could have gone and complained. He could have talked about how bad these people were doing and how they're just trying to move the light away from them. He could have gotten on Facebook and found a clever picture of Snoopy or Scooby-Doo saying something he wanted him to say, which I see a lot. And he could have written a long post trashing the king and everyone else. He could have said this law and just gone on and made everybody else mad. He could have given up. He could have said, well, I tried and it's just not working. And publicly pretended to pray to the king. Supported someone that he knew was not worthy of support in a way that he knew was not the right way to support them. He could have ignored all of the bad and just been like, I'm going to pretend out here, and then privately I'm going to hide under my bed and I'm going to pray. He could have done all of that. What he did, though, was not change anything. Because he didn't have to. Because he lived every day for God. And every day he would go back to his room and he would open the window, not for show, but because he was pointing towards Jerusalem, as was the custom to pray. And he would pray 3 times. Before the law was a thing, he did that. When the law became a thing, he did that. He did not change because he did not need to, because he followed God. And he always would go home and kneel to pray. And so when this happens, he goes home and he kneels to pray. He would always pray to God in difficult times. And so now he goes to God and he prays in difficult times because he had built this life of faith. And so he kept doing it. He kept showing exactly who he is. And in doing that, he's showing exactly who God is. Daniel was not perfect and he was not sinless. But he was an example of amazing faith. Not because of some big show of it, but because day by day he lived consistently for God. He lived to show people, hey, if you are saying that you're living for God, then show it. Pray, worship, be an example, be kind, be good, follow in the way that you're supposed to follow. 3 times every day he would pray, despite the risk, despite the cost. And so the men knew that Daniel was a faithful man because that's what started all of this. And so they know he's going to go home and pray. And so they're probably waiting there with the binoculars. And they're looking in and they're watching and they're like, hey, I think Daniel's coming in past the Cheetos. And they get out their camera. And it's a brand new iPhone at the time, which was just a rock. And so he kneels to pray and like, oh, we got him. We got him. This has worked exactly. And they probably patted themselves on the back for a while. And they're like, we did it. We've shut him down. And then they go to the king because their trap has been thrown. And they start in the same way. They're like, King, remember, you're so awesome. And this was for you. And then they say, hey, check out Daniel. But the key, before we get to that part, nothing on the outside changed Daniel. No law, no rule, no people, no anything changed Daniel because he followed God. Nothing and no one can stop you from praying. Only you can stop you from praying. And so Daniel shows this amazing responsibility. Sometimes in our lives, maybe even often in our lives, we pray for big chances. We pray for something astounding, some amazing moment where hundreds of people, thousands of people, millions of people are watching us, and we can show this big show of faith, and we can do a miracle, or we can heal somebody, or we can help somebody in a way that is so obvious and say, this is what God can do. And that's awesome. Sometimes that can happen, but it's not what truly plants seeds. And we go to our next quote. Discipleship is a long obedience in the same direction. And then it says underneath that, faithfulness is often slow, steady, and unseen. You see, those big moments, they can happen. They can. You can be in line at Walmart, and someone could have no money at all, and they can have like 7 kids, and you can have this chance to like, oh, I can afford to buy their groceries. And that makes a huge impact. It is good to do those things, to have those big moments, but it is the day-to-day discipleship that truly matters. More than that, it is the day-to-day discipleship that adds weight to those big moments. Because if you just have the big moments, eventually people are going to look at the rest of your life and be like, well, are they only a Christian 3 times a year? And it's that day-to-day discipleship, that day-to-day living for Him, that day-to-day consistency, being an example each day, not being perfect each day, but being faithful and being kind and following God each day. Daniel's time to be an example in a big moment, it came. But it came because day by day, he did not allow the world to change him or make him something else. He simply lived for God. And he prayed, and he cared, and he served, and he did everything he could. He was an example, not because of the lion's den, but because of everything he did leading up to it and after it. The big moments, they absolutely matter in terms of growing seeds. But day to day, plant seeds. How you handle your day-to-day issues, how you handle your day-to-day struggles, how you handle people day to day. That is what plants a seed. That is what people look at and say, oh, there's something different about them. And we go back to the scripture. This, of course, everyone knows, is one of the most famous stories in the Bible, as I said. We all can picture the little flannel graphs, or maybe just those of us of a certain age can picture the little flannel graphs. Kids, you can probably picture like a cartoon or something. But we picture the story of Daniel in the lion's den, and Daniel there laying down, praying, and these lions next to him, licking their lips or preparing, whatever it is lions do. And then we know that the king comes and puts the stone over, and we know what happens. But a key here is that Darius, who had seen Daniel's day-to-day faith, does not want to do this. And you may ask, but he's in charge, right? Like, he's the king. Nobody's above him. So why is he going through with this? Well, he was a prisoner to his own pride. And the king absolutely had the power to say, I repeal this law. But if he does that, then people start to whisper, oh, he's lost a step. He's probably going to have to retire soon. Kings don't retire well, I'll say that. And so he goes through, but he clearly cares about Daniel and says, Daniel, I hope you're right. And he's not being sarcastic. He's not mocking him. He truly is saying, I hope your God is real. I hope your God is real. And so Daniel's day-to-day life had clearly planted a seed in this Babylonian king. This person who had a different religion, this person who shouldn't have cared. And Daniel, he goes there, gets thrown in the pit, and he prays. And he trusted God, and he knows he could have died, but he still had hope in God. It's very similar to also in the book of Daniel, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego being thrown into the furnace simply for living day to day for God. And just like with that story, even if they die in the furnace, even if Daniel dies in the lion's den, it is not a story of failure, because they lived for God and set an example every single day. That is what we hope for. The people in the Bible who died for Christ, they didn't fail. They're not worse than the people who were miraculously saved. It is that day-to-day example of faith, that day-to-day example of character, that day-to-day trust in God. Now, ironically, in this pit with lions all around, Daniel slept better than the king. Because Daniel's like, hey, whatever happens, God's got it. Can you imagine getting to that point of faith? And some of you probably know this, where no matter what happens, God has it. And you're just sleeping soundly. You know God is there. You know God will cover it. Even if something bad happens, you know God is there. And so Daniel, he sleeps, and God protects him. And this miracle helps a lot of people, not just Daniel, because Darius comes out of this and he races to say, did it happen? Did God protect you? Did God rescue you? And because of that day-to-day example, this miracle opens Darius's eyes. And he's like, oh, God's real. Now, Darius still had a little bit to learn, because he then throws the other guys into the lion's pit, and the lions do not wait to eat them. We have a video. I'm just joking. And so this moment, Daniel's faith, is one of the biggest things that led to Israel's freedom from exile. Because the exile ended right around 538, which is when this happened. And so because Daniel lived for God, because God protected him, because Daniel's life set up this miracle's effect, it changes the king's heart, and it changes circumstances for thousands of people. And here's the deal. Daniel did not reinvent the wheel. Daniel did not create this way to live. Daniel did not create a way to worship God. Daniel did not create a way to be an example. He simply demonstrated it. And that brings me to one of my favorite quotes I've ever seen. The world out there is not waiting for a new definition of Christianity. It is waiting for a new demonstration of Christianity. This is not to say you should never speak, you should never preach, you should never worship publicly, you should never testify. It's not saying that at all. It's saying what matters is what you demonstrate. We saw a wonderful piece of the most popular VBS class, which was Kevin's science group. And if Kevin had just stood up there, and the last day is the most popular, and everybody here who has gone to VBS knows why it's the most popular. He makes ice cream. And if Kevin had just stood up there and explained how to make ice cream, he's going to lose the attention of those kids and adults and me. And people are going to be like, well, where's the ice cream? Oh, I'm not doing it. I'm just going to tell you how to do it. But he talks and he makes it. He demonstrates. And kids see this real thing that they can eat. Jesus told us how to live very clearly. He said, love God fully, completely, 100% of yourself, and love others the same. He also said, listen, treat others as you would want to be treated. And neither of those times did he say, and ignore all the other rules. He said, if you do these things, you're following my commands. He said, go out there and demonstrate. And that's what we are called to do. That's how we become disciples. That's how we live as disciples. We demonstrate. Yes, we share our faith. Yes, we testify. Yes, we take those opportunities. But they only matter if we, day by day, demonstrate what Christianity means. If we love Him fully and we love others the same. If we treat others like we want to be treated. If we are like Jesus. And again, the big things, the speeches, they absolutely help. They do. But they only help if the day-to-day living for Him is there. This series is about 4 people who demonstrated what it means to live for God. Not a one of these 4 prophets was perfect. Not a one of these 4 prophets did not go through a time in their life where they were like, man, you know what? I never have any problems, and I'm so glad that this is happening in my life. Every one of the 4 at one point said, this is hard. And yet they still got up the next day. And they said, but God's with me. Everyone here has had problems in your life. And yet, you're here because you got up the next day and you said, you know what? I trust God. That is an example. Sometimes we think, but I've not, what have I done in my life? You set an example. Day by day, minute by minute, month by month, year by year. Living for Him is what plants the seed. That is how we show others this is the way. That's all I got.
Everybody stand. Ready to shout? Here we go.
First, I'll say we've been joined by our part-time janitor, Jacob. Raise your hands. Everybody look at him and wave. Oh, that's nice. Is that the first time anybody's ever clapped for you?
Yeah, I was really caught off guard. Don't laugh for you.
They don't, that's fine.
We're awestruck, Jacob.
I don't know. Let's move on before lightning strikes. And so, this past week was VBS. This past week, from Wednesday to Friday, I had my special child so that she could go to VBS. On Thursday is the ice cream day, and she was very worried about that. You're aware of her medical issues, and you're aware that she can't have dairy. And I mentioned this to Kevin, and Kevin went out of his way to get and make special non-dairy ice cream in the same way for her. Now, that is a big act to me and to her, but it did not surprise me because of his day-to-day. In the same way, I took Beatrice to Fairfield Commons Mall on Thursday, because we'd gotten up at 5:30 in the morning and I ran out of things to do before we had to go to VBS. And she loves the train and she loves the animals and all of these things you can do. And that's kind of a big thing for her. She doesn't get to do those things every single day. But the reason those things matter to her is because day by day, she knows I love her. I set that example every single time I'm with her, whether we're just playing on a playground, sitting and watching TV, or doing something special. Making those big examples of love, of devotion, of miraculous nature, showing God in a big way, they do matter. They absolutely do. But they only matter if day by day we are showing others I live for Jesus. Jesus' miracles are astounding in the Bible. That is truly awe-inspiring. And yet, if he would walk on water and then never talk to anybody before or after that, he would be known as some kind of miracle worker, but nobody would change anything for him. But day by day, he set an example of love and devotion and loyalty and faithfulness. And then when it came time for him to do this big miracle, people were like, oh yeah, that makes sense. That's what we're here for, that day by day. And if you feel the drudgery and you're like, it just doesn't matter, it matters. And it makes a difference. Even if you never hear it, I promise you, it makes a difference because I grew up in a church where it made a difference to me. So let's go out there and day by day live for him. And also take a lot of bread.